Yeah, okay. So let me go to the next second scenario which we wanted to cover is the service organization, where one has a project, then there are certain tasks which one creates, on which there is a timesheet and the expense booking of the uh, users happen. So let me show that now. Okay, so there is a project module. If I go to a project module, I can create a project there. So let me create one project here. So I will create project, let's say ERPNext implementation is one project. This is one project. I have opened it. Expected date of completion, I'm putting as September 30th. If I open it, it will open the entire document where I can then further classify in terms of it is external project, internal project, other, or I can define some other categorization as I need. The expected start date, let me put it as I'll starting from next Monday, so that's 13th. I'm starting. Expected date of completion is the end of next month. Based on percentage completion, how I want to ensure the completion, is it based on task of completion, task progress, use the billing. If it is for a particular customer and there is a sales order available, I can tag a sales order. Then for this particular project, if I have to assign several users, I can assign them. So here I just created one user, so I'm assigning him for time being. Then under this particular project, I can create several tasks. So I'm creating tasks like requirement gathering is one, my first task. I'm saying it will start from next Monday and then going till the end of uh, week. Then I will say uh, process documentation is my next task. So I will say it will start from the next week Monday and going till the end of the week. Then I will have let's say prototype, POC, proof of concept, prototype, demo, which will then start next week and end of the month. And then I will have implementation of key modules, which will start from the next month and go on till middle of the month. That's it. Then we have training for users, It will start from 18th till to go till 25th. Then we have the sign-off meeting, which will be from 27th till 30th September. So it will sign off process will be from 26th till 30th. So these are my tasks which I have created. I can put certain weightage of those tasks in terms of percentage, so that I can track. I can put more description of what this task is. So once these tasks are created, then if I want to put additional notes, there are certain documents which are exchanged. I could attach those documents. I can put costing and billing of this project, expected costs, the default cost center, and then I save the document. So this is the first project I have created. When I create the project, here I have the facility to assign it to several users. And if I have a document, so let me just for time being, I attach one document. So the same slide deck which we're using, uh, the Gartner slide which we just saw, let me just attach that image as a sample. So I'm attaching so several documents. This could be visible to anybody accessing this project. Now this project hasn't started. Now either I can assign the entire project to a user, or I can assign it to one task to a particular user. So this is, it needs to be completed by next September. So I can assign this project value missing to the description. Okay, this is okay. I've assigned it. I'm submitting the project. So the project has now started. The project is open now. It is assigned to one user MK, under which I have several tasks. So as a project is a module, under project there is a sub module called task. So task, different tasks are there, which are attached to a project. Now let's say the requirement gathering I want to attach. So let me just create one more user here. So I will go to user list, create one more user. I'll just create Mehul as another user. So new user. So let me just create Mehul at in Mehul PMH. Let me okay, just there are a lot of other details I can capture as part of the user creation. So as of now, Mehul is just a website user. I will let me give him some rights now as a project user as well. So all these details are there. I can capture more details. I will now, for time being, give him access only to project module. So these are all what you see is the different roles and permission uh, for segregation of duty for different users. So I will assign in project user and project manager two rights, and I will say, so once when the first time when a user gets created, it becomes a website user, and then when the module access is given, it becomes the system user. Uh, Now I will go back to my task list. I'll go to my project module under which I have a task. Now, another beauty is I don't have to navigate to different modules if I have different responsibility. I can simply come to this search bar and search for what I need. So if I search for task, it will show task list. So if I can click on task list. Here is the requirement gathering task. This requirement gathering task I want to assign it to Mehul. So I will, as a project manager, I will assign it to Mehul. I will put certain details, requirement gathering to be initiated by you. Yeah, so I'll just say that I will say you have to finish this. It starts next Monday. I'll say finish it by 17th. I will just add if there are certain documentation exchange I have to do, I can do it. I based on this I can put my time, expected time completion. So I would say 15 hours expected time it will take. So other details if I want to capture. If this task has a further subtask, then further subtasks could be created. Talking to customer, documenting, getting approval. So the subtask also could be created. Now this task I am submitting. Now uh, when Mehul logs in, Mehul will see this task as part of his to-do list, and when he completes, he can put it the number of progress. So maybe let's say if he puts 50% as a progress, when he clicks, he can submit this task, and accordingly, basically the project. Uh, so the first task we have just started, and it is 50% completed. Let me just complete some of the tasks. Let me put it as 100% and show it the progress of the project. Let's assume that this uh, task is completed fully. Everything is done, and I'm submitting it. Still shows open. Expected date of okay. Open. Expected start date. It is not allowing because the expected start date and finish date is start is let me put start date today. Unexpected date also. Let me just change it as 10 to for the last submit. Okay, I have to change. I will change. So this status, let's assume this is done. So I'm saying the task, so I can accordingly change the task status to open working overdue. So let me put requirement gathering task as a closed task. This has finished. So it has changed now to yellow as the task completed. uh, Let me change. Let's say the another user who was assigned the process document, he is working in the working stage, so I can put it as working, and the expected time was initially assigned as 20, and he has finished, let's assume 50%, and he submits it. So as a project manager can uh, monitor, put the timing, and monitor the budget. So if you notice, one task is completed. That's why out of those five, uh, it is showing 60% of the completed as a project scope, and one can monitor it. Let me see what are the things I wanted to capture. So project creation I've shown, task list and allocation of the task to users, timesheet. Okay, show timesheet. Now, so this is one task. Let me go to the timesheet where the user Mehul, who has completed the requirement gathering, he will fill in his timesheet, which will attach to the project. So I'm going to the timesheet uh, where the new timesheet Mehul is making. So Mehul is going to his login, he's clicking on the timesheet. Uh, he is now listing the activities. So he is saying communication is the first he did. He did it today for 5 hours. He did it for the project ERPNext implementation. Whether it is billable project or non-billable, he can accordingly select it. Billable project, then he can say he did research for some projects. So research he did it today for 2 hours for the same project, but not billable. He can then say he can write an activity saying execution of the requirement gathering. He did it today for 1 hour, which is billable. So this is a timesheet of 8 hours he wants to fill in for today. He can fill it timesheet for several days together as well. So if I'll just add, so 10 hours I have to complete. So let me put now proposal writing. So these activities could be defined basically whatever I need. So planning is something which he did yesterday for 3 hours, which is, let's assume, non-billable. The total 11 hours timesheet he wants to fill in. He completes the timesheet, he attaches it and submits it. Now, as I told you while on the deck, I was running a deck that a workflow mechanism could be built where the user submits a timesheet and his manager approves the timesheet before it gets locked into the system. That kind of workflow could be built. So here he has submitted the timesheet. Now, since there was available time here, 5 hours and 1 hour, and the rate of these activities for Mehul, uh, if defined in the system, I can make a sales invoice from here itself. So since I don't have any service uh, product, I will just skip this step. But if I have defined, let's say, billable service item, I can make a sales invoice from here. Now, if I go to my project, I will see the link timesheets attached to this particular project. So I can see here uh, total time blocked onto this project as activity summary. I'll see 11 hours have been booked, communication 5 hours, 3 hours, etc. If I want to see which are these timesheets, I can just click it here and I will go to the connected timesheet rows of which user has how much booked the timesheet. Similarly, one can book an expense claim onto a project. To make a new expense claim, so I'm selecting expense claim. Expense claim has been submitted by Manjur. Expense date, let's say 8. Expense claim for travel description. Okay, default expense type account. Just select the default expense type. From the chart of account, I have to default expense type here. So travel expenses by default. Yeah, so here is the travel. I'm just writing local travel. Claim amount, let's then put as 1,000 rupees. Sanction amount is also 1,000. I can put it. Let me put another for yesterday. This was for medical, say, issue. Into part of the office expenses. Office expenses. I'm just time being putting into utility expenses, but it could be changed from the ledger chart of account. So I'm just putting it part of utility expenses. Just to move forward, the amount is 2,000 rupees. And the sanction amount is, let's say, 1,500 only. That's my limit per day from employee. Okay, so I haven't created a user. It's an employee. So the expense claim could be submitted by a user. So that user MK as an employee as well. User ID is MK. I'm sorry, I did not have a user on my profile, so I created a user now. So I will see employee. So this user is submitting against this project, so I can select. So I, as of now, I have on this instance, it was more a trading instance, so I haven't created several projects, but I will see the list of projects which I have created. So the project which we created for this demo version was ERPNext project. I can assign it to which particular task this particular project expense should get booked. So since Manjur was MK was assigned to the requirement gathering, so he can assign that to a task, and where the other payable accounts cost center it should go. If there is an advance payment, I can then put a detail of that here. Then I submit the expense claims. Approval must approve or reject. Pending for approval only in expense approval. And so expense claim is now here, which then it is in the draft stage. Expense claim list. Okay, here I have to change. So let me change the approval as an administrator. Okay, so when the user submits his expenses, he can select the approval also. Since I am making all the documents via administrator, I'm not switching to the users. But when the MK submits the document as an administrator, the administrator, when he logs into his expense claim, he will see that pending for approval. From administrator login, I'm now approving the transaction and putting a submit. So once I submit the document, it will then move to my project. So it is now submitted. It is showing in the unpaid state, which then the finance can make payment of it. So let's just make the payment of it. It is asking for the reference and the bank transaction. 1, 2, be paid tomorrow. 9. And he is submitting now the expense. The finance team is now paying, so the payment is done. So it is now showing that the payment is done. Now I'm going to my project to see what is the situation of my project, how many tasks are completed, uh, is there any, what is the time book. So as a project manager, if I go, I'll see the timesheet booked on my project, and I can see in my costing and billing the total expense claim. I can see the other cost, the total sales billing, which I've done via sales order. So this is the way I can monitor my projects and billings. I think this is it for today's webinar. If you have any question, I'm happy to answer that. Mehul?
I think this is all for today. We'll share this document with all the attendees.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.